Welcome everyone. This is Keep the Faith. Dermot Dooley here from De La Salle College, and I'm here with Niall Dawson, one of our great students from sixth year who offered these. He's a victim, first victim from the student body to put himself forward for this talk. So I'd like to welcome Niall.
Sir. Thank
Oh,
you.
well, I know look, we brought Niall on. Suppose the whole idea of this was to get people aware of just people on different journeys in life. Everyone has different paths. There's 1,000 students go through this school every year, and Niall is one of those students with a purpose and a plan, and hopefully go on and do great things with his life and his career and other things. And so, I suppose we're going to ask Niall. I suppose the first question, it's probably only two or three questions when I ask you, was before you actually that big incident, your health scare a few years ago. You'll talk about it in a few minutes, but your health scare, I suppose. Would you have had a good faith in, or would you have thought about kind of your your faith or your belief in God would have been different back then beforehand, or uh,
Yeah, it was definitely opened up my eyes anyway. How fickle life is, I
yeah,
suppose, with,
yeah,
with what happened. Um, and yeah, there's a lot of people that are convinced that, and probably I myself, that um, my my faith was one of the reasons that I was able to overcome it. So definitely um, made me closer to God anyway.
yeah,
After the incident that happened, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I can remember very little of it. Only just I remember the text messages were coming in on the WhatsApp group because you're on the Hardy panel.
yeah,
Um, that time, and the WhatsApp group was hopping, and they're all the La Salle club mates are all saying, Niall Dawson is in trouble, So the alarm bells are ringing. So look, I suppose for those who are watching for the first time, and your mum and dad are watching as well, I
yeah.
suppose I suppose it's nice to hear what your perspective, and then it's good to hear your words because you lived it and you went through that. So could you maybe just tell everyone the story, what happened to you that weekend?
Yeah, so it was a bank holiday. It was for the
Yeah,
Halloween, the bank holiday weekend, and we played an under 20 match against Tipperary team on the Saturday afternoon, and it was actually coincidence probably one of the best matches that I ever played on on the Saturday,
yeah,
and so everything was fine. We went out on the Saturday night, as a team, and then the Sunday then was first symptoms probably start to kick in the
yeah,
Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. I was basically couldn't get out of bed on the Sunday evening, but the symptoms were mild enough. It was more like a common cold or
yeah,
a flu, and then it got progressively worse. I suppose on the Sunday, and then I woke up on the Monday then, and I had a massive rash
yeah,
all the whole way down
yeah,
my whole body, and I told my mother, and she was the one. She done the thing with the glass where she
yeah,
rubbed it across the skin,
yeah,
and no, she said she didn't like the look of me at all, so
yeah.
she brought me out to the Brasscock out in
Oh yeah, doctor in care.
yeah, the care doc, yeah, and he just didn't like the look of me at all. He said he could tell from my eyes that there was something
Yeah,
very wrong,
fair play
and
to him.
yeah, and he just sent me straight up to A&E, and I'd say within 5 minutes going into A&E, that's when it was worst thing, the best thing that could have happened, I suppose,
Mm,
that it actually happened in A&E,
mm,
and yeah, the symptoms, just the headache, blistering headache, and
yeah,
then that kind of transpired into me kind of passing out, and from there it's all a bit of a blur
yeah. Well,
really.
so I didn't talk too much to your parents, but you remember your mum? I rang her. I rang your mum there after the event. I think you're out of the woods,
Yeah,
and they were terrified. As she said, they got fierce fright. Now I can imagine, and I know being in hospital is a lot. Now with my own young fella, but look, it is a frightening thing to see your own child kind of just, and you have no control.
yeah. You're dependent
The
on
doctors,
doctors
yeah,
and
yeah.
nurses. Yeah,
So I know. Just look, so meningitis. I haven't a clue
yeah.
meningitis, and it's just you hear about, you see the glass thing, and but it's so fast it could kill you fairly quick.
Oh yeah, yeah. It just takes a complete
How
hold of your
close were
whole
you? How
body.
close were you to go?
I'd say
Yeah,
I was very lucky that I was where the real symptoms
Mm.
that kicked in. I was very lucky that was in A&E.
Yeah.
Being surrounded by consultants and professionals.
Yeah.
Like had the only main thing that saved me was that it was a bank holiday and
Yeah.
that my mother was off work, so she was off work on the bank holiday, and that was the main thing that saved me.
Oh my
Because
God.
if she hadn't been at
Oh.
if she had been at work, she would have just said, right, take, or if that had just been a normal Monday, she would have just said, right, take the day off and then I'll
Take a
see you.
tablet, take
Yeah.
Bandol.
Yeah, and then I'll see what you're like then, I suppose, later on in the day if we have to go out to the doctor or whatever. But because if she'd gone to work like
Yeah.
and she'd come home, then it might have been a different story then.
Oh, she'd find you.
Yeah, she would. Yeah.
Not trying to make it dramatic, but
That is, yeah, because it just takes a complete,
Yeah.
like, it's an infection of the spinal and the brain. So
well, there's another incident around that time as well. Someone else
Yeah.
got it, and they weren't so lucky.
Yeah,
I won't
yeah.
even say that because it's probably it's too local, but it's just frightening how if your mother was if it was an Austin Bank Holiday Monday,
yeah,
wouldn't be here.
That was done.
You wouldn't be here.
Basically.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, to put it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So when you came over, right? So obviously we're not going to keep going on about it, but when you came over, what happened after? When your mother and father saw you? Can you remember that moment when you snapped out of your little
I
your
remember.
sleep?
I have vague memories of like
Yeah.
waking up in ICU, but I was so medicated.
Yeah.
It's all a bit of a blur, to be honest. And it wasn't probably until day 3 or 4 that I was actually sort of came off all the medication stuff,
Mm.
that I was actually able to understand like the severity of the
Yeah.
the whole thing. And yeah, like it took a long time to get over and get back to
You're very
where I
weak,
was. Yeah. Like I remember waking up and then I went in. It was the first time I was able to get out of bed, and I remember going into one of the rooms. It was one of the ICU rooms and had a toilet in there. I remember going into one of the rooms and just looking in the mirror and just like I looked a shell. I looked like a skeleton because I hadn't eaten in 3 or 4 days or eaten all the medication, and it was a massive shock.
Yeah.
I thought I might be able to get back to where I was before, but thankfully I was able to make
Yeah.
full recovery.
I remember I called out one day. Just you stuck your head out the window. Was it?
That was my father. I think
father,
he was
right?
on. He was on
Your father.
nights, yeah, and I was.
I woke him up.
Yeah.
The dooley fella calling out. Yeah, you were fairly. Yeah, and he told me you were sleeping.
Yeah.
So I just-
they said
yeah,
take a
wrecked.
lot of rest. It just
Yeah.
it took so long to get over,
Yeah.
and I was out of school for 2 months,
Yeah.
and I was on a reduced timetable, I suppose, then
Yeah.
for another while. And like I remember, like the whole of 5th year, I just like I'd finish school and
Yeah.
I'd go home and I just had to go to sleep straight away,
Yeah.
basically.
So for the students, so all the lads that are going through school here and they're not thinking about anything, only where we're going to have the next bit of crack, or
Yeah.
bit of laugh, or and next match, But what would your advice be to students maybe who who are maybe taking school for granted or taking things for granted?
That's-
Yeah.
That's what I would say. I would say just don't take life for granted. Like you can get caught up in like the leaving cert
Yeah.
and where you're going to go next year and everything, I suppose. But just like there's a lot of deeper things going on in life, more bigger things than a leaving cert or what college course you're going to get. There's a lot more pressing issues that you have to worry about in life. So and it can all be just taken away from you
Yeah. And
straight away.
did your mum and dad, obviously, when they were worried, were they praying? Do you think they were?
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Yeah.
They Portrait Pio was
Portrait
a
Pio?
big one in
I love Portrait Pio.
yeah, in the cathedral in town.
Yeah.
So they were going in there. There was a
Yeah.
load of
Yeah.
people, friends, family.
Statues inside the
yeah,
door there. Yeah.
all going in, praying, lighting candles.
Well, that's probably the reason for the podcast is that when people, and then I suppose the important thing would be to keep it going. Like when you're in good form now.
yeah,
So
fully
just
recovered
keep
now.
saying
Yeah,
thanks. I thought that's what we can't. We all go to Padre Pio when we're in trouble.
yeah,
We went to him back 2008 for Dara, all right, and it's that's all you have.
Yeah.
Your mother and father, they say the same thing that they're just down to their fate. and our prayers. And yeah, he answered them anyway.
He did, yeah.
He answered.
Yeah.
So look,
Did.
we hope he get a good Liam cert.
Hopefully, anyway, yeah.
He will, of course.
Yeah,
look.
yeah.
I suppose so. A year ago, was it? How long was it? A year?
October
October
31st,
and a half,
2022, yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're looking at like
Yeah,
the Liam cert's a bonus now after what's
exactly,
It's a
yeah,
bonus.
yeah. Well,
You're gonna.
I obviously look, I want to do well, obviously,
Yeah.
but I do understand that there is more important things in life than 7 exams. So
Yeah.
definitely,
Well, look, I'm just thinking here that Monday, bank holiday Monday. I just those little things, those little margins.
yeah.
little
You can't overthink them things either.
Oh,
Just
that's in my
thinking
head now.
if-
You left that in
yeah,
my head. Thanks for
yeah,
that.
if I hadn't been or she hadn't been home or just
But you-
or anything,
But the impact that had, that fright you gave everyone, the whole community, the El Sal community, the club, your mates, the whole thing, everything stopped.
yeah.
So it makes everything significant. Or puts into perspective of
Yeah.
what's
Well,
important.
I didn't understand the severity of the
Oh, sure,
the
no.
whole thing until like,
The
'cause I was
aftermath.
obviously
Yeah. Everyone else
I was obviously
you were happy.
yeah
You were on,
yeah
you were on morphine.
medication and everything, yeah. So I
Yeah.
was having a great time, but I didn't really understand the severity of the impact.
Your poor mum and dad went through the rip.
Yeah,
You put ears on them, but look, you live to tell the tale, and sure, look,
Exactly, yeah.
keep telling the tale, because that's what gives people hope. And I suppose we'll leave it there, Niall, because you've classes to go to.
yeah.
Lunch to eat.
Unfortunately, yeah,
Hurling, you're still training hurling.
yeah.
And thanks for coming in and talking about.
No hassle. Yeah,
And
brilliant.
you're very brave and well
Yeah.
done. And hope you have a good leave, sir.
Yeah, thanks very
Alright,
much.
no, well,
Thank you.
Thank you. It's great.